Could you be missing out on the most important tool in your toolbox? And no, it's not a specific software, team member, or even a potential money tree. It's actually your own customer. And realize ultimately at the end of the day, your business, your agency would not survive without customers. So you have invaluable information from your customer that can help you grow. When you integrate your routine feedback loops into your SOPs, into your systems, into your processes, it will create really valuable insights that will ultimately allow for you to be able to grow. I'm Robert Patton, and I'm a consultant that works exclusively with creative and marketing agencies. And so what I want to talk about today is how you can actually leverage feedback loops from your clients to be able to grow your business and being able to increase client retention, get more referrals, and ultimately be able to grow. So there's multiple different types of feedback loops that you can be utilizing. There's surveys, there's interviews, both exit interviews as well as project check-ins, things like that. And I want to talk about the pros and cons of each. So let's talk about surveys first, which is one of the ways that you can do things in a very automated fashion. And I do highly recommend that you actually utilize them. The pros of this is that it is automated. It allows for you to collect information and being able to know when you actually need to be having essentially an account service check-in. Downside is that ultimately it can be difficult to actually get them to want to engage. And one of the key learnings here when it comes to actually getting a customer, one of your clients, to be able to engage in a survey is to actually sell it to them of why it's actually going to help them. You can collect how they're feeling, what they think about the service thus far, what types of metrics have they been able to gain in the timeline. So how you can utilize that information to be able to inject into their strategy and being able to help them more. So it's really an incredibly useful tool to be able to do so and being able to gather information. Another way is being able to actually interview your clients about what is actually going on. And these you can do at key moments in the relationship, halfway through a project, at the close of a project, and even leverage these interviews with your clients to be able to sell the next project if you're a project-oriented agency. So the pro of this is that you can actually dig deeper into what's going on. The thing that you want to be very careful with is you want to have a base understanding of where things are with the client before you do so. So if something comes up here that you are unsure about, that you're not able to manage, that you were unprepared for, it can actually maybe potentially even make things worse with the customer. So you should have an understanding from your team if you are not directly involved with the day-to-day of this client to understand sort of the things that are going on here. The downside here is that it can actually make the client feel really on the spot. And so you want to make sure that the way that you're asking questions, it does not feel very pressure-oriented. Making sure that they feel that it's going to be useful to them as well as it's going to be useful to you. So one of the ways that you can position this is allowing for you to say, hey, so we're looking at what we are currently doing, how exactly it's working, and want to make sure that it's working best for you. And so you can have a little bit of a conversation around types of strategy, the things that you're doing, and how it can better help them in the future. This is incredibly important to understand and designing your customer feedback process so that you can really have an understanding of their point of view, making it easier for you to change process to make things better for them, make clients more likely to participate in these feedback loops, and make them more likely to participate in working with you, furthering and deepening that relationship with them. Recognizing that ultimately, your clients already know their experience. They already know how they feel. You're the only one that doesn't in the situation if you're not having these conversations, you're not getting these feedback loops. It's incredibly important that you do because could be dramatic blind spots in how you're currently managing this. One of the things that I want you to think about here too, right, is I don't want you to overreact. I want you to utilize a synopsis of information, being able to do some analysis essentially of what you're currently doing. So I want you to layer on the success of the client, the timeline of the projects, understanding whether they have a positive feedback, maybe even potentially the NPS scores across these projects, and actually allow for you to look at a fair number of projects over a period of time to understand what's actually happening and understand how you can actually make this quantifiable data and collect it in such a way that allows for you to leverage it in a really meaningful way. The thing that's really important here for you to recognize is that there's two components to a client relationship, the outcome and how they feel, and you need to consider them both. And again, I'm going to say that again. The outcome for them, the result, as well as how they feel, their experience. And that Experience can be based on the expectation that they had, the way that they were sold, the way that you engaged with them, and ultimately the way that they felt seen. Every single person on the planet wants to feel seen. And how have you made that client feel seen and understood? So, one of the things that I've seen happen for a number of agencies is that you will go and kind of be blinded by these types of information. You can lose some substantial business. And there was a client a while ago that actually lost about 80% of their business. They had come to me immediately after having this happen because they were in a pretty bad cash flow situation. And what was going on was that they were losing clients hand over fist because they were not actually keeping up to their processes and their standards, and they did not have a way of collecting the information and checking. This has actually been a problem in multiple different areas of the business, not specifically for them, but for multiple different agencies, and not actually confirming what's going on, having NPS scoring, measuring how that's going, or knowing exactly what those feedback loops look like. But in this situation, it actually was a dramatic surprise to this agency owner that they were losing business out the back door on a constant basis, working so hard to bring new business in, but losing their retainers. And it was actually a really dramatic, painful time for this agency, and they nearly shut their doors. And so you want to be careful in not leveraging this information and actually utilizing it in a meaningful way to allow for not only your department heads, but for yourself to be able to enact change when needed. So what I want you to do is think about how you can collect this information on an ongoing basis and how you can centralize it. And it can be as simple as a Google form that feeds into a Google Sheet that you can then review on a weekly, monthly, or even quarterly basis that allows for you to stay up to date with how things change and how clients are currently interacting. As you add more team members and you get further removed from your day-to-day with clients, as you scale, it becomes this kind of give and take of understanding how you can leverage information that allows for you to guide the future of your agency. So I want you to think about how you can actually go about implementing some changes from this, right? So let's say that you end up getting some feedback from clients that ultimately are suggesting that they don't feel like you understand them. And while you actually do, and you have been doing loads of research, and it's kind of being done in a bit of a void, which happens a lot for agencies, is you're doing loads of research, you're spending loads of time, you feel like you're giving the client extra juice, but they don't know what you're doing. So I was actually had a session having a conversation with Taylor McMaster from Dot & Co. And one of the things that she does is called the Daily Pulse, and actually communicating with the client on what's going on not necessarily every single day. It could be twice a week, 3 times a week, or even every single day of the week, but ultimately letting them know how the project is ultimately progressing. Another sort of thing that you can do in the exact same example is another client. One of the things that they're doing is that as they're onboarding a client, they're sending a video of them walking through the service product, the tangible product that they have in their hand, and walking through, right? Hi, I'm utilizing this product that you have, and here's some features that I really like about it. And it shows that you're trying to get to know them, you're trying to get to know the product, and ultimately allowing for you to be able to do so in a really meaningful way. And so let's face it, it's nearly impossible to receive 100% positive feedback. It's not going to work. You're going to have things that are going to cause some cringeworthy moments that will happen. And the thing is whether you know about them or not. And it's really better for you to be able to listen to your customer, listen to your client, and really know where things are. If you're really not sure where to start on how to be able to do so, and you're having bottlenecks in your projects, you don't have good client retention, you're getting complaints, and there's areas of mistakes that are happening, I want you to actually strategize on one thing that you can be doing today to actually start to get feedback from clients. And it could be as simple as a surprise phone call from you, checking in with them, seeing how they're feeling, and being able to collect some information. Here's the 3 data points that I want to collect in this call. And you don't necessarily say that, but you write them down and collect that information so that you can amass it. I really encourage you to be able to share your experiences, really being able to put into the comments below of what types of information that you are collecting from clients that allow for you to be able to. And those comments below should give you some ideas of the things that you can be doing. If you have any questions about any of this at all, do me a favor and go ahead and shoot us an email at info@creativeagencysuccess.com. Happy to work through your specific situation.